Now for our reigning champion. So I've talked to you a few times already, Andre, and honestly, I doubt you'll even see this video because it probably won't even interest you. And that's okay. But you had another great draft. Last year, if we could, go back and how did Andre do? Obviously, you got an A plus. Like you just absolutely crushed it. 6 out of your 7 top picks were contributors on a fantasy championship winning team. They were all top 5 of their position. So you destroyed anyone. Like that was an amazing, incredible draft. Do I think this draft is an amazing, incredible draft? No, but I really don't know yet. But do I think you had a better draft than most? Yes, I would agree with that. So let's dig into it. So first round, David Johnson, pretty easy pick for you. Le'Veon Bell's gone. Ezekiel Elliott's gone. Gurley's gone. Kareem Hunt's mysteriously gone. So okay. But I had a top 4. You said I just want top 5 running back. I guess Kamara was probably your next guy, and Kamara's really good too. But I think Johnson was the guy. Johnson was the number 1 overall pick last year. He got hurt obviously, but it was his wrist, so it's not really a big long-term injury like his knees. The year before, he was the number 1 fantasy running back in football. He helped Jose win a championship. So that gives you an idea of how good this guy is. All right? And he is the top option on that offense. Him and Larry Fitzgerald, and he is in his prime, and Larry Fitz is 35. Dave Johnson's excellent. I could see 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. He runs, he catches. He's a rare mix of speed and strength at his position. He is just rarefied air of just how good he is. And it's really just, I don't exactly know what the Cardinals are planning on using him because they have a new coach because Bruce Arians retired for health reasons. But he's going to get the ball a lot. I could see 80, 90, 100 yards a game rushing, and then another 30, 35, 40 yards receiving, and then like a touchdown. That could be like a completely average game for him, and that's like a 20 points right there. I just literally threw out like 20 points. Is he going to reach that every week? No, but he could be like a 15, 16, 17 point guy on average. Like he'll have 14-point games, he'll have 20-point games, he'll have like 12-point games, he'll have like 24-point games. He's incredible, and he could be the number 1 running back in fantasy. And to take that here, 5th pick, great pick. So easy pick for you. Good player, get it. Next, you took Gronk. Now we had discussed before. It's just like, do I like Gronk? He hasn't been healthy for 5 straight seasons. But to your credit, I didn't love all the options on the board at the time. Like, do you believe in the Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans? I don't. Josh Gordon was taken after you. Do I love Josh Gordon? I don't. He's not even going to start in week 1. Does Joe Mixon have a lot of talent for the Bengals? Yeah. Is that Bengals O-line fixed? No. So, would I have taken Gronkowski over Kenyon Drake? I really like Drake. I probably would have taken Drake, but that's because I was going RB heavy. So I don't fault you at all for taking Gronk because traditionally he was the best player on the board there, and he's a monster when he's healthy. He averages 10, 11, 12 points a game when he's healthy at tight end, and that's just a huge advantage. Like, Mac's going to be sifting through tight ends the entire year, hoping to get like 5, 6 points out of them a week, and Gronk's going to give you like 12. So that just gives you an idea of just how amazing he is. It's just a matter of, is he going to stay healthy? If he stays healthy, then great pick. If not, hopefully you get at least 13 games out of him. If you do, then it was probably worth it still. So I understand why I took him because there's upside here. He's the number 1 player at his position. He was hurt. He missed games last year, and he was the number 1 player at his position, and it wasn't close. So, it's a huge advantage to have on your team. I understand why you took him. There was no one better on the board, and you took the best player on the board, and I respect that. Next, you took Amari Cooper. I like Cooper. He has a new coach, and John Gruden, former Bucs coach, hasn't coached in a decade. But Gruden has never had an offense where he didn't have at least one wide receiver go for over 1,000 yards. And we're counting those not great offensive Bucs teams with like Jeff Garcia at quarterback, all right? I don't know if you remember those teams. I remember those teams. They weren't, like, some of them made the playoffs, some of them really tanked. But Cooper is going to see a heavy workload. Michael Crabtree, who took a lot of red zone targets, is gone, all right? Can you name the tight end in Oakland? I can't. I mean, Marshawn Lynch is good, but he doesn't catch passes out of the backfield. Is Doug Martin a good starting running back who catches passes out of the backfield? I don't think so. So someone has to catch red zone targets. It might as well be the guy who's a former first-round pick who's the number one receiver. I think Cooper had a terrible year last year. Just awful. He just didn't find pay dirt, and he didn't do much. Like, he had one big game in, like, week 7, and the rest of it was terrible until, like, the last 2 weeks of the season. But when he sees at least 10 targets a game, he's a top 5 receiver in fantasy football. The problem is, like, last year, he was seeing, like, 3 or 4 a game, and then he's a bottom, like, he's, like, outside the top 100. But when he sees the targets, he's awesome. And there's no one else to throw to, so he's just by process of elimination, he has to see the targets. I believe in Cooper quite a bit. I'm quite high on him. I probably would have taken him in the 3rd round had he fallen to me over Royce Freeman, because I really, really liked his upside. So I like that. You've got the number 1 tight end. You've got a wide receiver who has top 5 potential. You got a top 3 running back. Awesome start to the draft. Next, you're just like, okay, I need to fill a need. And I get that. I respect it. Thank you for not being stupid and saying, let's take a quarterback or something. So you took Dion Lewis. Lewis was pretty good last year for the Patriots. Funny enough, look at that. A Patriots running back who did something in that committee. He was the passing back because James White was hurt most of the year. Lewis... He's kind of in like a timeshare with Derrick Henry. They're bringing in the Rams offense because the Rams' former quarterback coach, Matt LaFleur, is the offensive coordinator. So I think Lewis is going to see, like, I remember 3 years ago when Lewis was a top 10 fantasy running back for like 11 weeks before he got hurt. Can he do that again? I mean, he basically did that last year. So yeah, I think he can do that again. Especially on a team where there's not a whole lot. Like, there's Delaney Walker, Corey Davis, Derrick Henry. I like all those guys. But, like, are any of those guys, like, all pro players? I drafted Corey Davis, but I think Dion Lewis is a good player. And he's shifty. If he's healthy, he can really play. It's just a matter of, is he healthy? But he's on a team that I think will utilize him well and knows how to use him. Like, look how Todd Gurley was used out of the backfield on catching passes last year. I think they're going to split up the backfield work, and that actually is okay because that means Lewis will be protected from injury. If he gets 15 touches a game, he'll average like 10 points a game, and that is exactly what you want out of a running back. So to have that RB2, I mean, it's a little bit of a low reward. It's a little bit of low risk, and there's a high ceiling. Or no, there's a low ceiling, but, high floor. But that's okay because he's a good player, and he's a good player who does have potential. There's still some potential there, and I don't know the exact role they'll use him. But, like, if he gets, like, I'm going with, like, 15 touches. But if he were to get, like, 20, 25 a game, like, he could be a monster. So that's good. It's a good pick. A bit of a reach, but, he's the best running back on the board. I certainly would take him over some other picks drafted around him for sure. So, good pick. Next, I mean, we're just filling out this draft with, like, good players. Like, I don't understand why people are letting you get these guys. So next you took Marquise Goodwin. Okay, so Marquise Goodwin was the number 12 receiver when Jimmy Garoppolo took over as quarterback for the 49ers. So let me repeat that again. He was the number 12 fantasy receiver in football in games that Garoppolo started. So that was for 6 weeks, from week 12 to 17. Jerick McKinnon's hurt now. I know, he's on my team, blew out his knee. Matt Breida and Alfred Morris are the running backs. Tight ends George Kittle I picked up off free agency for free because Matt cut him. Pierre Garcon's a possession receiver. Marquise Goodwin is the guy. All right, if you believe in Jimmy Garoppolo, like I believe in Jimmy Garoppolo, like I think Jimmy Garoppolo could be a top 3 fantasy player, and even more so than that, I think Jimmy Garoppolo can be what Aaron Rodgers was when Brett Favre left. Like, that's how much I believe in Jimmy G. I think he's that good. I don't know if he'll be as good as Rodgers is right now, but I think he could be. And he's really intriguing that way. And if you believe in that, someone has to get the ball. And the number one guy who's going to get the ball is Marquise Goodwin. So to get a number one receiver on an offense that will be throwing the ball a lot, like Kyle Shanahan, their head coach, yeah, he let Matt Ryan and those Falcons to a Super Bowl 2 years ago as O coordinator. All right, Julio was amazing that year. Devontae Freeman was the number one running back in fantasy that year. That's why I took Jerick McKinnon, by the way. Marquise Goodwin is now the guy on an offense that's high-powered, and for whatever reason, no one picked him before up until this 5th round. Like, I don't understand. Like, I personally, like, I would have loved to have Marquise Goodwin on my team. Like, I was looking at drafting him. But, like, there are other picks, like, Cam Newton's around here, Emmanuel Sanders around here, Devin Funch is around here, Jamal Williams is in this round. Like, these are some bad, bad picks. All right, Marquise Goodwin's going to blow everyone I just named out of the water. Like, money in the bank, Marquise Goodwin's better than all of those guys. And the fact that you got him in the 5th round is just obscene to me because he could be a top 5 fantasy player at his position, and he's not even your number one wide receiver. That's just obscene. It's obscene. Like, this draft is just, I don't know why people like you're literally just like, it's like you're carjacking people. You're just stealing from them. Like, it's just like you found $500 in someone on the ground, and people just looked at it, and they was like, I don't want it, and you just picked it up and walked away. Just, it happens over and over. Like, next round, you take Michael Crabtree. Like, we're talking bench now. Like, he could be your flex, possibly bench. He's the number one receiver on Baltimore. Is Baltimore really that great in offense? No, but it's bound to be better than it was last year. Like, just pure regression, they have to be better than they were last year. Like, did you know, for example, that Baltimore last year threw the ball for, I want to say, 3,500 yards, right? 3,500 yards. That's a lot of yards. Did you know that they basically lost their entire, like, almost all of those players who got those 3,500 yards? Like, do you know what happened to any of them? Can you name any of them? Do you know where Mike Wallace went? I know where Mike Wallace went. Do you? So, even if we were to say Baltimore is only as good as they were last year, even if we assume that, which I don't think is correct, I think they're better, but even if we assume they're only as good as last year, someone has to get the ball, all right? You can't just run the ball every single play. I know I had Alex Collins on my team. They didn't run the ball every single play. He would have gotten the ball more. He did get the ball more. He got the ball maybe 16 times a game, all right? You run more than 16 plays a game on offense. That means you're throwing the ball somewhere. It's going to go to Mike Crabtree. All right? They went out, gave him $7 million a year. They're like, hey, be your number one guy. And he's like, yeah, I can do that. So it's obscene that you're getting these types of players. Like, Michael Crabtree was a top 30 wide receiver last year on a terrible Oakland Raiders offense, okay? Top 30 on a terrible offense. Even if he goes to another terrible offense, he's now the number one receiver on that terrible offense. And I don't think that offense is going to be as terrible as it was. So, like, there's already built-in potential for better than what he was, and what he was already a starter. Like, that, it's obscene that you're getting, I don't understand. Like, I think people are just drunk at the wheel around you in the draft. Like, I don't know. I don't know what people are doing. I have no idea. We're taking, like, Kyle Rudolph and Greg Olsen, and I'm just like, why are we doing this? So it just, I mean, Next round, same thing. Let's go take Robbie Anderson. You won a championship with Robbie Anderson. He was the starting flex player on your team, for God's sakes. All right? Yeah, sure. He was caught speeding and he threatened a police officer and he could be suspended. Okay. Yeah, he could be suspended for I don't know. I don't know how many games, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. Has he been suspended yet? No, he has not. So we're just going to let him fall to the 7th round to Andre to take again? He was far and away the best player on the board. It's obscene that Justin used Will Fuller in this round and you got Robbie Anderson. All right? Will Fuller had a 4-game stretch where he scored 7 touchdowns. All right? Robbie Anderson had a 16-game stretch where he was a top 15 receiver the entire season. Who's the better player? Robbie Anderson. And it's not close. But for whatever reason, we just let him slide because, maybe he'll get suspended. Well, he hasn't been suspended yet. And even if he does, he's still a better player than most of the players on the board. I can't wrap my head around why. I don't understand. He was the number 1 target on a Jets team that was left for dead, that went 6-9 with Josh McCown. So yeah, okay, Sam Darnold's the quarterback. He's young. He's 21 years old. McCown probably should be the quarterback if they want to win games, and they don't. But Elijah McGuire's hurt. They're running back, so now they're starting Bilal Powell again. They didn't go out and sign anyone. It's literally almost the same exact team as last year, only you change a quarterback. So Robbie Anderson was a top 15 receiver last year. The only thing's changed is quarterback. I mean, could the quarterback be worse? Yeah, okay, maybe the quarterback's worse. Maybe Robertson Anderson has a bit of a less season than he did last year. But even if we accept that, we go with, okay, he was a top 15 receiver last year. The downgrade quarterback makes him top 25 at receiver. A top 25 receiver is still a starting flex, and he's a bench piece for you. That's just, it's obscene. It's obscene that people would just let you have these drafts. I don't know. I swear, this is why the guys around you I've not given good grades to. I'll give a good grade to Jose, but other than Jose, I don't know what other people were doing around you. I have no clue. Because, it's just, if Robbie was hoarding running backs, you're hoarding wide receivers, and you're just getting a boatload of them. So, you cornered the market. I think you need to take some depth running backs, and that's really where you're hurting. But, I mean, unlike some of the other teams that didn't take depth running backs, you got guys with, high upside at a position of need. You can trade wide receivers for running backs. I can't trade a stupid quarterback for a really good running back. It's never going to happen. Sorry. So, yeah, next round, you take Jimmy G. All right, so where was this? Round 8? Round 8? We're taking Jimmy Garoppolo? I think Garoppolo will have a better year than Aaron Rodgers this year. I said it. I'm sorry. I think he's going to be in some shootouts with Seattle, with the Rams. I think his schedule is pretty easy. I think in those 6 games, he was, the 5th best fantasy quarterback in football last year. I don't love his first week matchup against the Vikings, so I don't know if he'll get 300 yards in this game. But Jimmy G sat behind Tom Brady, and they didn't want to trade Jimmy G for a reason. They were going to franchise tag him despite having Tom Brady for a reason. Okay. Jimmy G was basically Patrick's starting quarterback in the fantasy playoffs last year. And he only started 6 games. He literally picked him up for free off free agency, and he was a starter for him. Boom, magic. To get that in the 8th round is incredible. That kind of potential. Even at quarterback. I don't draft quarterbacks, but, that's good value. You take Jimmy G in the 8th round over Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, I don't understand why people around you just they gifted you these picks. They gifted you players with huge potential, players with floors that are really high, players who are really good at what they do. They just gifted them to you because they're just oh, I don't like that guy. Just over and over and over again. So then, you took my former linebacker. I guess maybe you noticed something that championship game. He was the only guy who showed up. C.J. Mosley. He was number 1 at his position last year. You know how I know? He's on my team. He averaged over 15 points a game. He was a monster, and he's going to be a monster again. So, boom, take a star linebacker. Okay. You take Jordan Poyer next round. You want to get a safety. What better than the Buffalo Bills? They're terrible on offense. They're going to see the field forever. Poyer is a good, strong safety. He's going to get a lot of tackles. Again, top 5 player at his position. It's obscene. So then we get Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones, number 1 defensive end at his position last year. Averaged 12 points a game. Led the league in sacks. Like, what? Jesus. Like, what are people... Oh, my gosh. We get Deion Jones the next round, all right? So Deion Jones was like... He missed... I think he missed a game. He had, like, against New Orleans, he had a 30-point game one week, all right? His upside's monstrous. He was, like, 4th best at linebacker last year. What? Every single guy I named was no worse than the 4th best player at their position last year. Every single defensive guy I just named. Like, people reaching out, let's go take Kevin Byard or Levante David or Micah. Like, why? Like, you can just go back, look at last year, look at the year before. Hey, this guy really puts up numbers and he stays healthy the whole season. Like, does that mean nothing to you? Like, I don't understand what people are doing. So here's the first pick I don't like. You took Matt Bryant. You were trying to fill kicker. You like Bryant. He was pretty good for you on your team last year. He was top 10 kicker. I don't like it mostly because, like, I think you can find a kicker on free agency. I don't think you need to really worry about kicker too much. Like, Greg Zuerlein was number 1 kicker last year, and he was a free agent to start the year. So, like, I think you should have gotten another running back because you really need depth now. You still only have your top 2 running backs, so you're kind of like Joe in that sense. But, Bryant's a good player at what he does. So then you're just like, all right, I filled up literally everything. Everything I have in my starting lineup is good. So if I stay healthy the whole season, I'm going to do excellent. But I need to get depth right now because I have no depth. And so now you're just like throwing darts at the board. So first we went to Devontae Booker. He's probably going to be the number 2 running back behind Royce Freeman. He didn't really especially look that great last year. He averaged like 5 points a game on the season. It wasn't especially great. So, maybe he'll be pretty good. I don't think so. You had Theo Riddick. You cut him, probably rightly so. You got John Kelly. He's the handcuff for Todd Gurley. Gurley goes down. Kelly's going to be the man. Kelly was really good last year in the SEC. They picked him up for a reason. So if Gurley goes down, he's got value. Lots of value. Huge value. Crazy value. You got Corey Clement. He's the backup in Philadelphia, I believe, after Jay Ajayi, who I don't know if he stays healthy. I think Clement's going to get like 8 to 10 touches a game. If he got more, I think he'd be really good because that offensive line's really good. But I actually think Clement's the goal line back currently, which is kind of wild to me. So he can vulture some touchdowns. So, I mean, that's a good find. You got Naheem Hines as your next pick in Indianapolis. They used a pick on him. I think he's the 3rd best running back. I don't love that pick because Indianapolis, they don't run the ball that much, and I don't know if they're going to use Hines all that much. He didn't look especially impressive in the preseason. But, you're taking darts, throwing them at the board, seeing if they got potential. Okay. And then finally you finish off with James Washington. Washington has the potential to push Juju Schuster and Antonio Brown for time. I don't know if he'll see the field enough as the number 3 receiver in the Steelers offense, but he's really talented. I think he's really good. I just don't know if he's going to see time because there are better players ahead of him, but he could become something if injury happens ahead of him. This draft's obscene. Just obscene. If his starters were to stay healthy the whole season, Henry would win a championship today. That's wild to me. His biggest weakness is he has no real depth at running back. He has a bunch of guys. If David Johnson goes down, he's in really, really big trouble. I will admit that, and that's really why I can't give him awesome, amazing last year's grade because you need running back depth. Injuries will happen. The hope is Johnson's healthy the whole season. I could see that, but I don't think Johnson and Lewis will stay healthy the whole season. But at least to your benefit, you weren't like Joe and taking, I'll take 3 running backs. At the very least, you try to address the position late in the draft by throwing darts at the board and hoping something sticks. I think you'll go out and find another Rex Burkhead like you did last year. And, I mean, if you do that, you could you could be our first back-to-back champion. That's how good this draft is. Or maybe you don't like to trade, but maybe you want to trade, Michael Crabtree for a starting running back because you have really good depth at receiver. I don't know. I have no idea. But, it's obscene how good these players are, okay? Cooper, Goodwin, Crabtree, and Anderson. Those 4 wide receivers could be starting wide receivers almost every other team in the league. Maybe Joe and Ryan, probably not. But every other team, the 12 other teams, they could all be starters on those teams at wide receiver. Not flex, at wide receiver. You got players on defense who are top 4 at their position, all of them, if not number 1. You got a quarterback who was, for 5 weeks, top 3 quarterback in fantasy football. You got a running back who was the number 1 running back 2 years ago in fantasy football. You got a tight end who's the number 1 tight end. It's obscene. I don't understand. You could make a reasonable argument Andre has a top 3 running back, the number 1 tight end, another top 10 running back, and then 4 wide receivers who could all finish top 15, and a top 5 quarterback, and all of his defense's top number 1 defensive players. All of those things are if we go on probability, do all those things happen? Maybe not, but there's a healthy chance of them occurring. Maybe 30-40%. And if all of those things were to happen and they all stayed healthy, guess what? You didn't even have to do anything. You won a championship. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that people around you did such a poor job drafting and allowed you to just soak up all this incredible wide receiver depth. Usually I like to have running back depth because you need it. You need running back depth. I know why, because Jerick McKinnon just got hurt. It sucks for me. But if you're going to ignore running back depth a little bit, at least get some upside. Get some players who really could do something, and you can do something. It's crazy to me that people allowed you to. You just destroyed people your first 10 picks or so. It's just wild. It's wild to me that people just allow you to just camp and do this. So, I think I gave an A+ is championship level team. That was your draft last year. I think the highest grade I've given is a B, and I gave Patrick a B. This is an A. This is an A-, B+. I'll give you an A-. This draft is really incredibly deep and good. The only thing that stops you is you need depth at running back. So I can't give you anything higher because you took a bunch of depth pieces at the back end. And frankly, when you find something, if you find that Rex Burkhead on free agency, you'll be good. That's it. You could have 2 wide receiver injuries and you have wide receiver depth to fill it up. Garoppolo goes down, you could pick up Jared Goff. Gronkowski, you could pick something up. It's obscene. It's obscene how good this team already is. And I don't understand why people around you just decide, I'm just going to ignore running back depth. I'm just going to take guys. And you're over here just there's no running backs I really like. And I'm going to take guys who could win me games. And I don't understand. But you just had another excellent draft. Just hit it out of the park. Man, it's going to be really hard for me to win this league with you in it. All right, we're done. Bye.